another child has been shot on an East Bay freeway. And like many times before, this little boy was with his family when a bullet flew into his car and hit him. Another innocent victim of a rolling gun battle in Alameda County. Another family that went from a moment of peace and normalcy to panic and chaos. This little boy's mom had to rush him to the hospital in what must have been the most terrifying moment of her life. And parents who are hearing about this tonight are understandably disturbed and understandably angry. Here's what we know. It happened along eastbound 580 near Grand Avenue at the height of the evening rush. Drivers scrambled to call 911.
There were about 8 to 9 shots fired. You had a burgundy or possible Mercedes 4-door, 4 occupants. They were wearing all black masks. And then a white small SUV. Both of them were shooting back and forth at each other.
Tonight, eastbound 580 is still closed. It has been for hours. Betty Yu is live with us now. This case is so disturbing, Betty, and I think the first and most important question is, what do we know about how this little boy is doing right now?
You're right, Sarah. Just another senseless tragedy. We just learned from CHP that this child was transferred to Children's Hospital in Oakland in grave condition. All the while, the CHP is asking for the public's help in identifying this child's shooters. Traffic on eastbound 580 was shut down for several hours Friday night after a shooting between 2 cars near Harrison Street just before 6:30. Cones marked bullet casings scattered across the freeway lanes. The CHP lieutenant was visibly moved by the violence.
Another senseless tragedy that happens on our freeways. We had 2 vehicles that chose to utilize our freeway systems as a rolling gun battle. When a child is struck by gunfire or a violent crime occurs, it touches you.
The CHP described the 2 suspect cars as a dark gray SUV and a maroon-colored SUV. Officers believe both exited eastbound on 580 at Park Street.
I mean, it's terrible. You know, it's like we've been dealing with shootings, robberies, car break-ins. I mean, it's endless, you know. It's just another kid. It's ridiculous. I mean, things are beyond out of hand.
Drew Van Zee lives next to the freeway overpass and saw the emergency response.
I've lived in Oakland actually over 30 years, so things are worse. I mean, things were bad in the 80s, things were bad in the 90s, but people didn't do the same type of behavior that they do now. So it's definitely worse, yeah.
More brazen?
Yeah, it's more brazen.
Friday's shooting marks the 3rd this week involving an innocent child. On Wednesday afternoon, a stray bullet hit an 8-year-old boy in a passing car on MLK Boulevard. Later that night, a 13-year-old girl was hit by a stray bullet on MacArthur Boulevard. Both victims were treated and released. What does that do to your sense of safety living here in Oakland?
I mean, I feel okay because I think I've been around and I kind of know how to handle myself. But, you know, I worry about my mom. She's 73, everybody else. And then I feel like it's kind of like a Batman scenario here.
And that stretch of the freeway is expected to be tied up for this investigation into the night, Sarah.
I mean, you know, Betty, this is just so, horrific that we don't even have the words to describe, certainly as a parent. And, you know, you expect first responders to be stoic and stone-faced, and you heard that man choke up. He was crying and mentioned that he's a dad, too.
That's right. And we learned after the press conference that he also has an 8-year-old, so the same age as the victim. So understandably, you know, this is extra emotional for him.
Yeah, you know, our thoughts are with this family and our prayers are with this family tonight, certainly hoping for the best possible outcome. Betty, thank you for the update. Tonight, our Juliette Goodrich talked with an Oakland mom who says seeing this kind of thing over and over again makes her question letting her teens out on the roads.
I've lived here for 25 years, and this kind of stuff never happened in the past. And I work now at a local hospital. I'm an ER nurse. I have 4 children, and it's terrifying to think that you could just be driving to work or coming home and you could be killed, or your child or your loved one could be.
580 right behind you.
It's
You
right
travel
behind
on
me.
that every day?
Every day.
How about for your kids, your teens? They're driving?
Yeah, it's nerve-wracking to think of them going out and enjoying the evenings, or the days at this point.
This April, a 5-year-old girl heading to a family dinner was killed in another freeway shooting, this time on 880 near Milpitas. Her name was Eliana. Her family friend said she loved life, loved to have fun, and loved her siblings. Now, 3 suspects are facing murder charges. Prosecutors say they're gang members and thought they were shooting at a rival gang. And you probably know Jasper Wu's name. He was shot and killed in 2021. Also caught in the crossfire of a gang shootout on 880 per prosecutors. He was 2 years old when he was killed. DA Pamela Price drew a lot of criticism, protests even, after she dropped some charging enhancements. And now the 2 suspects won't face life in prison, but Price says they will probably die behind bars. As we mentioned earlier, there were actually 2 freeway shootings today alone. CHP says a woman was shot in the leg while she was in a car on 280 near Alamany in San Francisco. We're still waiting to hear what led up to that shooting.